Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome again to our PowerPoint webinar. The Inova Solutions team is very happy to have you all here today. I'm Marcy. I'm in the marketing department at Inova Solutions, the headquarters in Curacao. We're very happy to have you all here today, and we're going to start off in just a little bit. If we take a look at our agenda today, you can see Jermaine here. Jermaine, hi, Jermaine will be our presenter today. Jermaine, if you could just toggle the slides for me. Take us to our agenda today. I will be doing a short introduction, and afterwards I will give the floor to our PowerPoint expert, Mr. Jermaine McDonald. To find out what you really want to learn from this webinar today, we invited you all to ask your questions beforehand. And seeing as how a lot of you have asked questions about the benefits of PowerPoint while public speaking, we have a little surprise for you today. We invited a public speaking guru to our webinar today, Mr. Tupal Persod, who is actually our product manager here at Inova Solutions and is also based in Curacao. He is involved in organizations that includes a lot of public speaking events, and he will give you some tips and tricks on how he efficiently uses PowerPoint for public speaking. He will be joining us after Jermaine's presentation, and we're really excited to share Tupal's knowledge with you as well as Jermaine's knowledge. Afterwards, we will do our usual knowledge checks, so please keep your mobile phones on standby, and we will go afterwards for a final Q&A round. But before we start off, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Inova Solutions. We are a cloud solution provider for Microsoft with an outstanding gold partnership, operating in the Caribbean and Ecuador as well. We believe that our team of experts can empower any company, no matter its size, so big or small, to create business advantages by embracing digital transformation. As I've already told you before, we're headquartered in Curacao, but we have several offices in the region and in Ecuador. For example, in Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Puerto Rico. And our outstanding services have resulted in us being the winner of the Microsoft Partner of the Year Award for the past 7 years. So we're very proud of that. The most important thing is that we use what we sell. So this allows us to be the best at what we offer, from consultancy to usage optimization. So for more information about us, you can always visit our website or contact any of us, and we would love to help you further. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Jermaine McDonald to start off this PowerPoint webinar. Jermaine. Jermaine, you're on mute.
Thank you. I had to get unmuted, so I came out of full screen. Let me go back. Okay, great. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It is a pleasure to do this webinar once more. It's something that I've grown accustomed to, and I really do look forward to the questions at the end, so please keep them coming. If you're unfamiliar with PowerPoint, it is a very diverse application. It's a part of the Office 365 suite. There's actually two flavors or versions. There's a free version called PowerPoint Online. You can just simply do a web search for free PowerPoint and you'll see it. I think it's live.powerpoint.com or something to that effect. I can't remember it right now. But you can use that version, which is a very basic version, but just enough for you to get some basic functions done. Or you can get access to PowerPoint through the Office 365 suite. So most of us know Office from maybe 10, 20 years ago. It's really, the PowerPoint that we have now is so much evolved from where we first started, but it's still a very powerful application, one that is often misunderstood. So persons actually, one of the questions we got is whether or not it's efficient to use PowerPoint. My answer to that would be yes. It really depends on how much time you spend learning the features and what is possible, because you have a lot of third-party applications that simulate what PowerPoint does. So PowerPoint was really a trendsetter in a lot of ways, and it's awesome for collaboration. So this very document that I'm presenting to you, we have it as a live document in our webinar teams, and so myself, Marcy, and other persons from the team can work on one presentation at the same time, and it makes it so much easier to get work done for these webinars. So that's it really in terms of highlights. You can access PowerPoint on any device, whether tablet, phone, or laptop like I'm on right now, and it is definitely worth spending the time to learn more about it. And that's why you're here today, to learn more about it. So I hope I'll do a good job there in teaching you what's possible. So just, I want to highlight some of the benefits before we go into the session. You can easily create presentations. And when I say easily, it really is easy. Once you prepare, the hardest part is really preparing your content. Most persons think about how they want the presentation to look before they think about the content that goes into it. I think that's the wrong way to do it. Think about your content first. Sometimes I would plan it out in OneNote, type out the information that I want, make that as concise as possible, and then I'll start building out my presentation. So I actually have a workflow that I use. It makes me get presentations done very efficiently, very quickly. So it's a great way to use PowerPoint. And next point is collaboration is extremely easy. You simply click share, and I'll demonstrate this later on. Click share, type in an email address, send a link, and then you can work on that presentation with someone else. Something very powerful to do with PowerPoint as well is the creation of templates. Now, there are two things to think about here. You have templates and you have themes. So when you think of a theme, you're thinking of the color scheme, maybe how the fonts that are used, some of the things that are in play for that particular document that you're in. But you can also create a template which kind of outlines and sets certain things in place, and you can use that template as a starting point for documents. And templates are available all across the Office applications. I can do a template in Word, I can do one in Excel, I can also do it in PowerPoint. PowerPoint also allows us to work with images, graphics, video, audio in a very efficient way. So I'll show later on how I was able to embed a YouTube video. I'll show very basic animation, but very, very powerful if you want to level up your presentation. And then we'll talk about how it works, things like recording your screen and stuff like that. All right, so in terms of what I will cover today, in terms of this session, I start every session with a customizing of your interface. I strongly believe in doing that before you use any application. It's important to get things the way that you want them. So, color scheme, ensuring that the font size is okay, ensuring that you're zoomed in the right way, ensuring that your ribbon is set with the right icons. All of those things you want to configure before you start using the application, because that can save you precious moments. The next thing that we're going to do is look at some keyboard shortcuts, and I would encourage you to pay keen attention to the keyboard shortcuts, because we may or may not see a question on the keyboard shortcuts at the end. Just consider that your hint. Next, we look at slides and layout. So the concept of what we call a master slide and layout slides, that's actually what we use as well here. So we have a sort of template that we use for our webinar presentations. I'll show you behind the scenes of that, what that looks like. Then we look at importing pictures and graphics. Some persons are familiar with clip art. Clip art is what, persons who are from the 90s who would have used Microsoft Office from back then, you remember clip art very well. And so clip art was really one of the first ways in which we used to interact with graphics in terms of Office. So it's not quite the same way anymore, but we do have the benefit of accessing clip art through the web, and I'll show you how to do that. Next, we look at a very basic example of what animations are possible. I'm gonna look at embedding video, and then we'll talk about sharing, co-authoring, and exporting. So we're gonna go through things very quickly. Don't worry, you'll be able to watch this video again on our YouTube channel. Maybe about a week from now. We normally post the videos once we've done these sessions. So if you miss anything, feel free to ask questions. If you want to go through the steps that I'll be going through here, it's best to lock into the session now and then watch the video afterwards if you want to do anything that I would be demonstrating here. All right, so the very first thing that we said we would do is look at customization. So if you go to File, Options, you'll be able to see this PowerPoint Options tab, which will allow us to configure some key things. So the areas that I go to is the Advanced section. Customize ribbon section is where I spend the most time. I want to be sure that I'm getting the icons that I use the most for that ribbon, and I'll show you how to do that. And then the quick access toolbar is a very useful thing as well. So you can configure that all from the PowerPoint options. So you really want to spend some time in there, go through the options. Sometimes I like to toggle things, see what they do. So I'll change the settings, save it, test it out, and then if I don't see a difference or if I don't like it, I'll go back to it. So it's very good to explore those options, and don't worry, you can always set them back to their defaults if it is that you don't like a change that you've made. So these are the shortcuts that we will look at, some very basic ones. These are the ones I use the most, right? So, you know, creating a new presentation is Control-N, and simply to access the shortcut, you press the Control key or the Alt key and the letter that's there. I'll show you how to use this for the toolbar at the top very soon. But these shortcuts just pretty much helps you to access things a lot quicker, as opposed to using the mouse to click or to maybe doing multiple steps for something that you could do with one shortcut. So I have a link here that will show the list of all the PowerPoint shortcuts. It's directly from office.com. I'll paste the link at the end of the session where you can see all of them. But these are the ones that I wanted to memorize. So because these are these are the ones that you could potentially be looking at for the Q&A. So pay attention to these. To start a new slideshow, very important one. We just simply, once you're in PowerPoint, we press F5 and you'll see a slideshow starts. If I want to select a theme, so let's say this theme that I'm in now, I'm working on it, I don't like it. I press Alt, the letter G. I'll see the toolbar highlighted. Then I press the letter H and I'll be able to navigate through the themes that are there. And for cut, save, copy, paste, undo, it's the same across all Office applications. So Control S is save, Control X is cut, Control C is copy, Control V is paste, and then we have undo, which is Control Z. Now, typically I don't use Control V a lot. I use it mainly for images, but I like to do a right click and paste just in case I want access to more options. And using the zoom dialog is extremely important, because then you may want to zoom into what you're working on if you're working with a small screen, or you want to be able to see things a little bit more clearer. Zoom is a very useful tool. So those are some key shortcuts that you want to be aware of. And this is what I was alluding to before. So once I press the Alt key, and if you're in PowerPoint now, press Alt, and you'll see these icons here being lit up. Now it's maybe a little hard for you to see it, but just know that each section or each function has a letter or a key or a number associated with it. Some of them have multiple letters because of course there are more features than letters, right? So how this will work, if I wanted to go to the Home tab, I press Alt and H and it brings me to the Home tab. If I want to go to Design, I press Alt and G, and that's how you use that. So imagine me having to move the mouse all the way from the bottom of the screen to the Home tab or the Insert tab. Instead, I can just press Alt G or Alt H or Alt N and go to those sections. So it's something that is extremely useful It makes your time in PowerPoint a lot more efficient, and you save precious minutes. The next thing that we're going to look at is how to customize what we call a master, a slide master. Now, a slide master is essentially that slide, or that it's, think of it this way. Every PowerPoint presentation has an underlying template. So if you think about it, so the slide master for us for this particular document would have been the very first slide that you saw. So when you saw the timer, when you joined us, that's considered our slide master, and then we have some layout slides underneath it. What that allows us to do, if there are things that, let's say, we always know we want to use this layout where we have the column to the left with our title for that slide, and we have our content to the right. We may want to use a certain font, we may want to have an image or a logo, we want to have a footer. This slide master section allows us to customize these things, and I'll show you what that looks like. But the thing that you want to remember is that if we want to have a consistent font, consistent images, then we want to take advantage of the slide master and the settings within the master view section. So this is what I was alluding to before. So we have that first where it shows the number 1, that's our slide master, and everything below it is our layout. And we can customize these based on the type of content we're expecting to present. So if, for example, I'm a financial institution presenting a lot of financial data, then I may want to customize it to work with charts well, to have a certain layout. Maybe I want to have some company data to the right or the left. I have full control over how I customize the settings. So that's a very, very good thing to do. Next thing that we want to know how to do to level up our use of PowerPoint is inserting and leveraging pictures. Now, I understand very well why some persons are wary of PowerPoint, because what I've seen happen a lot is that persons take information from a Word document and drop it in PowerPoint. That is not the way to do a presentation. A presentation is meant to complement something that is spoken. So if you notice, even for my presentation so far, there's not a lot of words. I'm using images and maybe 1 or 2 lines of text, and you're hearing from me while you're looking at the presentation at the same time. So we want to appeal to the different types of audience members that we may have. Some persons are visual, some persons prefer to listen for good quality content, and so you want to have your PowerPoint slides balanced. So importing and proper use of pictures, very important. So I would say you want to always have a meaningful image, just the right amount of text, and be sure you build your presentation around what you're expecting to deliver to your audience. So if you have a slide that is filled with words, 50 words, 100 words, I would really consider summarizing that content. If you can say it with a chart or a graph, it would be better to do that than to put all of that data there. It really depends on context though. Certain situations it would make sense. So for example, if we're looking at financial data, if we're looking at maybe information to be able to make some decisions, those are cases where it may be different. But you want to just follow this rule where if you can say it with a picture, say it with a picture. If you can say it in 1 sentence as opposed to 3, do that so that your slides aren't crowded. So the use of pictures and graphics, very important. I'll show you how to import from your device. We have some stock images as well that we can take advantage of, and then we have online pictures. So what PowerPoint allows you to do is search Bing, which is Microsoft search engine, to get photos and images and GIFs and icons. All right, so I'll show you how to do that. And this is an example of one such thing. So I clicked on, let me go back to the previous slide, but I've gone to insert, clicked on pictures, that drop down, click online pictures, and that brings me to here. So you see at the top, online pictures, and I search for laptop. We see that it's powered by the Bing search engine there, and we see a checkbox that says Creative Commons. So Creative Commons would be essentially royalty-free images that we can use, that allows us to be confident that the images that we're using in our presentation does not have a royalty attached to it, which could potentially be an issue depending on the type of image you're using. So to be on the safe side, I always leave it on the default so that I know when I'm using an image and I put that presentation out on the internet, I don't have to worry that, you know, somebody's going to reach out to me and say, Jermaine, you should not have used this image or anything like that. So that's how we would get that done. We also have the ability to access icons. Icons are extremely powerful. Again, it can level up your presentation where, again, if you have an icon there, it can have a more lasting impact. So we can look at how that's done. Same place, we go to insert pictures, we search from online pictures, then we click on icons, and that's how we get here. And this is what I would have mentioned as well, clip art. So we have the option to search for clip art. So if I want clip art for laptops, then I just add that search term and it's right here. So think of PowerPoint or the Office suite really allowing us to access the internet, because if you think about it, in the past, if you wanted to get some images for your presentation or for your document, you had to search, download a couple of them, you know, insert it, see what it looks like. This allows you to test it in real time. If you don't like it, you just simply remove it. So the next part we're going to look at are some animation. So this is a very, very, very simple example of an animation, but I thought it would make a powerful example. So I'm going to click next and you'll see how the animation works. So you see the ball moving back and forth and now up. All of that was very, very, very simple to do. So I'm going to show it once more, right? And you notice if I go backwards in my slides, it goes in the opposite direction. All this is underneath it's called the morph transition. I duplicate my slides, I put the object at the start and the end point, and then I go through those slides and it does this animation. So this is very easy to do. I'll show you how that works as well. So let me just move forward through here. The next thing that we're going to look at is animation with text. So you're seeing item 3 on the screen now, which probably doesn't make sense if you typically would see 1, 2, 3. And I wanted to make a point here. So my list is animated. However, for item 3, it has an animation that does not fade or has some type of disappearing transition. So the entire list is animated. However, item 3 stays there, and this is something that I see a lot when persons are trying to use animations. They don't use the right animation and their list starts in the wrong order. So I'll show you how to correct that as well. And this is a video that I've embedded from our last webinar. So this is the one that we did in November. It's on Excel, and if I hit play now, this will play directly from YouTube. So I'm gonna, hopefully it works the way that I'm intended to. Because of bandwidth, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just gonna hit play for a second. Okay, so you get the idea. So this is a YouTube video that I've embedded in a PowerPoint slide, and I'm able to essentially do the presentation I'm doing now. So imagine if we did one slide, if we pre-recorded this video, did one slide, uploaded this video, maximize it on the screen, hit play, you probably, if you weren't paying attention, realize that we would have pre-recorded the webinar because it looks on the screen exactly what you're seeing now. You're seeing me to the right, you're seeing the presentation on the left. And so if you didn't know we were live, it would be hard to tell the difference. And that's the power of using this option. Use this very carefully though, because what I find, the videos that are referenced underneath is really based on your search history. So I've seen cases where persons have videos pop up in more videos that aren't necessarily appropriate for the presentation or the video that they're playing. So just bear that in mind, that the videos below are pulled from your search history. So just bear that in mind, all right? And as you can see, I watch a lot of videos on Excel. So there you go. Pause it, move to the next slide. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at is a screen recording feature that's within PowerPoint. So what I did yesterday is I just started typing some content. So I'm going to hit play and you will see what was recorded. All right, so essentially what you're able to do with PowerPoint is record a part or all of your screen, and you can capture audio as well as where the cursor might be. So as we type out this sentence, the cursor is essentially moving forward. So it's really recording the cursor, but you get the benefit of seeing, you know, whatever text I'm typing on the screen. Now be wary of this feature because, for example, if your keyboard or your keystrokes are very loud and you're capturing audio, that's gonna sound like, you know, someone is beating a hammer maybe nearby. So bear that in mind. And you want to be sure that your background is very quiet. So because it will pick up, I was actually watching a basketball game as well, and the test recording that I did, so I had to do a new one. It was capturing the entire basketball game in the background, so I had to do a new one. But I'll show you how to do this as well very quickly. And we could also save this video to our local PC. So if we want to upload that to YouTube or share that with someone, we can do that. And the last thing we're going to look at is the option to share our documents. So to the top right, and all of the things that we've shown you so far is based on using Office 365, meaning if you have Office 2013 or earlier, some things may not work in the same way as we're presenting them here today. So you really want to be sure you're on the latest version of Office. If you want to get access to the latest version, reach out to us and we'll help you get access to it. So to share this document, I go to the top right of PowerPoint, click on share. It will pull from my OneDrive. So I have the option, if I'm working on this locally, to share it, it needs to be on OneDrive for me to be able to do co-authoring. So it's asking me to upload a copy of the presentation to my OneDrive for work or my OneDrive for personal use. And then I'll be able to share that and co-author with somebody else. I also have the option to attach it as a presentation in an email or to attach it as a PDF. I can now determine with that link that's generated whether or not persons are just able to view it or whether or not they have the ability to edit it. So that's very, very powerful to do. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to go to PowerPoint so that I can show you the demos very quickly, show you everything that we've been talking about, and then I'll hand over to the pal from there. So let me see here. Okay, all right, so I'm back to PowerPoint. So the very first thing I mentioned to you was, you know, customizing your interface. So as I said, we can go backstage by clicking File and Options. And what you're seeing here are the sections that I mentioned. So if I want to go to Advanced, I can customize these settings here based on what my preferences are. So for example, things like the number of recent presentations that are shown, whether or not I want to show shortcut keys in screen tips, those are things that depending on your liking, you can customize these options. I really want to spend time on customizing the ribbon though. Sorry. So what we have the chance to do is customize the ribbon that's to the top here. So everything that is currently shown there, I have the option to remove or to add items to it. Well, no, I'm actually talking about the wrong thing here. I apologize. The ribbon is the gray area below the very top. So these are the things that we customize here. So we have our main tabs that we can customize, but I also have the ability to edit the quick access toolbar, which is to the very top. Both are customizable from here. So you scroll through these options, you see the functions that you use a lot. You can search from either popular commands or commands in a particular area, and then just add those to this quick access toolbar. So if, for example, I work with shapes a lot, I add it and I click OK, and I now see shapes to the top here. So if I definitely use shapes a lot, so I've added that to my quick access toolbar, and now I can just easily access a shape, right? So this is your quick access toolbar. So things like autosave, you always want to have on. You know, my PowerPoint actually stopped responding last night, and I wasn't worried because I just restarted the computer, and it came up and told me I could recover it, but it was saving automatically with each change that I made, so I didn't lose anything. The next thing that we spoke about are the shortcuts. I would have mentioned to you that once I press Alt, as you see, all of those options are up here that I mentioned. So if I go to Alt and N, then I'm at the Insert tab, and I see some more icons popping up with options that I can choose. So every single tab allows you to do that. So it's just for you to just familiarize yourself with the shortcuts that you need. We also spoke about the slide master. So we go to view and we click on slide master, and what you're seeing here is the master slide and the layout slides for this PowerPoint document. So you see, this is our intro slide because it's a section title, so we can actually have multiple sections within the same document. I also have the ability, let me show you as well. You see, each of my slide has this title section, and then we have content over the right. So I can make changes to the colors, I can change the font, I can change the theme that I'm using here, and once I make these changes and save it, it will impact this overall presentation here. So that's how you manage that. The next thing that we spoke about is inserting pictures. So let me just create a new slide right below here. So as you see here, you notice from my master section, I have this default. So when I create a new slide, this comes up by default. So if I made a change to it, this would appear differently, right? So I go to insert, click on pictures, and let me just go to the online pictures here. So if I wanted to search for, I don't know if you love dogs, but I have 3 dogs. So let's say I want to search for a photo of a dog. I can select one of these photos, bring it in to my presentation, and then I have some things that I can do with this image. So the first thing that you'll see pop up to the right is design ideas. So it's giving me an idea as to how I can make the most of this image by either, let's say I choose the first one. It will now customize this slide. So it has essentially overridden the default theme that I have by this design idea. If I don't like it, I just choose undo, and I'm back to where I was. I can do some things as well with this in terms of this photo, so I can change the borders around it and the style of the photo. I can crop this photo. Let's say that it's showing too much, I can crop, and I can just do a lot of things with this, right? Depending on the type of photo. So if you notice to the top left, you see the option to remove background, but it's grayed out. That really depends on the type of photo that you have, right? Let me just delete this slide because I want to have a final draft saved here. So we spoke about that. Next, we'll look at animations. So all I did, if you notice to the left, I have 4 slides, right? And what I did, starting with the second slide, I went to transitions. I have morph selected, and then I can essentially preview what that would look like, and it shows me here what that transition would do. For morph, we can choose the type of effect. So I'm choosing object because it's a ball, so I want it to morph in that way. So think about it if you're, for example, doing a presentation on the solar system and you have the planets and you want to show them moving around the sun. You could essentially simulate that. And so it's very, very easy. I could choose other transitions as well. So let's say I chose crush. You'll see that transition take place instead. If I choose fracture, that's the kind of effect you're seeing. So really, it's very, very easy to do these. If I wanted to have sound, if I wanted to play it for a specific duration, if I wanted to do it after a certain amount of time, so I can do it on mouse click, which is the default, or I can do it after a certain amount of time. All of that is possible within transitions. So if you click and go through these, you'll see a great amount of options that you can customize. So you notice it just it's just really limitless here. The next we have animations. So transitions are different from animations. So hopefully, let me zoom in for those who may not be able to see. So each item in this list has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those are just the orders of the animations. So this is the first animation, this is the second, this is the third. But if you remember from the slideshow, item 3 was there first, and that's because of the type of animation that was being used. So it said for an underline animation, and it wasn't an animation that would disappear or reappear. So I'm going to change that now to flying. And if I go back here and go to my slideshow, you notice now the screen is blank, where you were seeing item 3 before, and now it goes item 1, item 2, item 3. So I have the ability to change the animation to make it appear in the right order. All right, so let me just exit here. So if I wanted to remove all these animations, because sometimes it can get tricky working with animations, so you want to make sure it is the right order, and just be sure that you test it. Always test your presentations. All right, next we had the video that we were working with. So I have this video here with the ability to replace it with another video. So I can edit things like the format of the video. I can change maybe the frame around the video. If there were other things on the page, I could bring the video backward or forward. I do have a lot of options here, right? So you want to check these options, see what it looks like, see how it plays, ensure that it's giving you the desired effect. All right, this is a screen recording that I had done. If I wanted to right click and save this as media on my PC, I can. So I click save media as, and it brings me to a location. I can choose my documents and it will be there. And so I can send this as a media file to Marcy or to DePaul, and they can edit this if it is that we wanted to present it to someone. And finally, we have sharing. So let me zoom back out a little bit here. So if you notice to the top right of my screen, I have a share icon, and it's showing me that Marcy is in my document right now. She's on slide 25, right? So that was where she last was in terms of editing this document. It could just mean that she has it open still, because I know she's in this session here with us now. And if there was, for some reason, she's making a change, it will be done in real time. So since we do have this document live, Marcy, can you just, let me go to this slide. Can we go to slide 22, and I'll just ask you to edit something on slide 22 for me. And what you'll be able to see is just the ability to just make changes on the fly. So that's Marcy typing right now. We're able to work on this document at the same time. If she has made a change and I'm not happy with it, I can move it to a new line and say, she said, hi Jermaine, but I want to be called Mr. So I'm just gonna make that change, and then I'm just gonna add an animation to it. So I want to be sure that it does something very fancy. So let's say I choose that one, right? And then you see it is there now, a part of that animation list. And if I go back to my slideshow, it will have the appropriate animation. All right, so I have two more things to show you before we close based on the questions I would have gotten. So you do have the ability to record your presentation. So let's say that I'm thinking about this session. I want to be sure I do it well. I want to record myself presenting it. On the slideshow tab, we have record slideshow, and we can choose whether to record from our current slides. I'm on slide 22 right now. I can record from there or from the beginning. And as I narrate the presentation, it is recording my mouse clicks. It's recording everything that is needed to deliver that presentation. All right, so I'm just gonna click record from current slide here. I'm gonna hit record. It's doing a countdown. I'm not sure if you can see it, but what it's doing right now is recording my presenting of this presentation. All right, so I'm just gonna go through these items and then I'm gonna stop. Hopefully you saw that. I'm not sure if you were able to. So what it did is record that slideshow that I just did. And that's where now, well, I don't know if you saw it before, but before the clear option was not there. So because it is recorded now, I see there's this thing now to the bottom of the slide that shows that there's a slideshow or some form of recording to the bottom right here. Let me zoom in for it. Very mindful that some persons may be accessing from a small device. So there's this thing here that's showing black. It's supposed to just show you that a recording is there. So it has recorded all my timing to click through the slides. It would have recorded everything that I was saying. I can play this back, hear how I would have delivered that presentation, and then I can make changes. So let's say I heard it, I'm not comfortable with it. So I'm just gonna, clear all the narrations, and know that icon that was there is no longer there because I'm just not happy with that recording. So I can go through it again, be sure that I'm comfortable. I can watch things like my timing. So I want to be sure that I'm timing my slides well, that I'm not rushing through. I want to be sure that I'm highlighting the key points. I can share this recording with Marcy, and she can say, well, Jermaine, you're taking too long on slide 22. We really need to get to the questions. So I can know to change my pace. And so that is it for my presentation. Hopefully I would have given you some value in terms of what's available with PowerPoint. So I think we move to questions now, Marcy, or do we move to Dupal's presentation?
Yeah. So Jermaine, just a question. I have a question from one of our attendees. She's asking, does the recording show the PowerPoint presentation only, or is video and audio possible?
It's video. I don't believe video is possible. I may be wrong. I can confirm that very quickly. I've experienced it recording my audio. So everything that I say is being recorded. It's recording my timing going through the slides. It's recording any and all narrations that I've had. So video, no. So for example, if you're presenting in a tool like Teams, like, oh, you're seeing my video right now and I'm going through the presentation, that sort of recording might work. But as in recording your video, to the best of my knowledge, you can't, but you can narrate yourself going through the slides. But I think I should be able to verify that soon. If it has video, I haven't used that function personally, and naturally I'm trying to present from the features I have experience with. So I can try and find the answer to that.
Okay, Jermaine, thank you so much. Guys, I'm sorry, we're a little behind on schedule, so we're gonna quickly go over to Mr. Dupal. We're so excited to share what he has to tell you today. And let's just quickly go over to Dupal. Dupal, do you mind sharing your screen and go on ahead?
Yes, we can continue. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Excellent. So once again, my name is Dupal. Let me do this actually the proper way. So what I'm want you to do is give you some information that how based on Jermaine's input, how I have implemented these during my duties outside the organization as well. So I'm fortunate to be have been um, presenting or leading an organization, and at the end of this, um, at the end of the year, I always have to show in a report. So how does it go? Instead of making any Word document, I decided to use something that Jermaine mentioned, being efficient and being a trendsetter by using PowerPoint. So as you can imagine, normally annual report is built in Word and using a lot of text because that's where you write what you have done and what the accomplishments are. But I said, why not use PowerPoint, as this is an excellent tool to illustrate what you have been doing. And also during my presentation, I can use the same slides, of course, being adjusted. So let me give you one example of how it actually looks like. What Jermaine mentions is with some text and a lot of information on it. That is not what we want. So the first thing I've done is I have, this is normally the full annual report. First thing I've done is, since it's been built in PowerPoint, I've replaced everything that I do not want people to start reading what I present. Mind you that PowerPoint is not the main stage. As the presenter, you are the main stage. So I've removed all the text and all the information that is not relevant for the audience to be focused on. Next, make it a compact and presentable information that helps me keeping the engagement high, giving an inspiring information, and at the end for the people to be remembered what we have presented. So once we go to the slideshow, this is actually how it looks like and how I've been able to give the people what I wanted them to know about it. One thing you can already see is all the text has been gone, and I've put those texts in the notes section, which helps me present what I would like to for the audience to understand, but keeping the focus on me as the presenter and not on the slides. Okay. With all the animations within PowerPoint, I've just created a click here button, which is an image. It's not actually a button, but once you click it, it does give you the essence that this report is something like a book. Okay. What I wanted to highlight here is that we have a new partner in my annual report. This would be all text because then someone reads it. But during my presentation, I just want you to know that the picture does the speaking. And I want you to remember that that year we got a new partner, we got new members, and we got new stuff going on. What I want next for the people to understand is partnership is everything, and the partnership is what we've done using as a strategy. I want you to remember 4 aspects. So I've put some text in here, which then I was able to elaborate on during my presentation. Okay. As you can see, all the pictures here are doing the talking, and you can relate to what I would say if I mentioned that we were able to organize a leadership and development weekend. So based on the pictures, it's all illustrated and I do not have to do all the text. My message is all clear. Next thing is here you can see a lot of text. However, what I want you to do is showcase what we're doing. So I've copied it and put it here where the main aspect is the first edition of the magazine which we published here. Okay. One beautiful aspect within PowerPoint is that you can also enter some numbers and graphics. So the last thing what I've done is put some animations because I want you to understand where we're going, what we've been doing, and where the focus be on. By putting some animations in it, once again, I push everybody to look at the slides. Once the engagement is on the slide, then I can relate that, hey, we have been seeing higher attendance on events, which is one of the part of our goals and strategies. What about colors and other aspects? In the next slide, you can see a combination of animations and using colors. So with the features within PowerPoint, I was able to copy the gradient structure here and place it in an icon which I could have imported here. So you know that all this information is related to the same column. Okay. And at the end, keeping it simple and clean. What I want you to remember is all is happening because you make it happen, not because it's just PowerPoint, because it is you that creates it. Okay. So in a nutshell, I was able to present an annual report, removing all the text where I present stuff. I just show you what I want you to understand, but it's me doing the sharing and the engagement and the talking. Okay. So this is in a nutshell how I have been using PowerPoint as a powerful tool that helps me bring the message while the focus is on public speaking, but the using PowerPoint, it helped me engage with my audience. It helped me bring over the message and engaging everybody that after they leave the session, they can relate to the slides, not because all the information is there, because they were listening to the audience or to the speaker in this case. So for me, that is a quick example of how PowerPoint helps me doing all the stuff in the organization and outside the organization. So Jermaine, thank you so much. Marcy, thank you so much. And everybody else, thanks so much. I hope to answer all other questions that's coming in.
Thank you, Dupal. That was great. Thank you for your presentation. As you said, it's nice, clean, exactly what you would need in a presentation. Jermaine, I would like to thank you as well for presenting your tips and tricks for PowerPoint. Unfortunately, we're going to skip the quiz this time around as we need to take into account everybody's time and their, everybody has things to do and the schedule was for 11:45. So we're just going to continue on to the questions. I'm going to add you to and answer the questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions that are not answered so far?
Not seeing anything yet. Maybe you both were so clear that no one has any questions.
That is good. That is good.
That would be great. So let's just wait a while to see if anyone has questions. If not, I would like to invite you all to fill in our webinar evaluation. You can scan the QR code or you can go to our website and fill in the webinar evaluation. It really helps us in terms of knowing what we should give to you as content. So please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And please also stay tuned for our next webinar where we will dive into OneDrive. Jermaine will dive into OneDrive. So everyone, thank you so much for joining our webinar, and we will see you again next month.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.